Good morning, good day, wherever you are. Welcome in the studio, Martijn. We are here in het Provinciehuis Zuid-Holland. And Martijn, we last did a podcast last year with Dammel, Digital Asset.
Yep.
Claudia, this is your first time.
Yes.
Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yes, of course. Well, thanks for having us. My name is Claudia Terpstra. I work as an innovation manager in financial markets at Rabobank. And before that, I spent 3 years in the blockchain team of Rabobank.
Yeah, I remember you from there.
Yes.
Yeah. Martijn, short
Yeah.
introduction.
Thanks. So my name is Martijn Siebrand, working in the digital asset group of strategy and innovation.
Yeah. So today we're not talking about blockchain. We're not talking about tokenization. We're not talking about Web3. We are talking about what you're going to be presenting here at the expert session, the first one in 2023. It's a new year. It's a time for a new narrative. You are actually no longer building stuff. You're putting it in the market. Can you elaborate both? Claudia, ladies first.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So maybe I'll start with a short history of the project that I'm working on. So what we're trying to achieve is actually real-time settlement for commercial paper. And commercial paper is a short-term debt instrument that is traded on the financial markets. We started the project back in 2018. And we actually issued then a commercial paper natively on blockchain. And the settlement via just existing payment infrastructure. And then we learned, talking to clients, that there are a couple of things why we couldn't do native issuance of a debt instrument on blockchain yet. And that was because the legal framework for this particular financial instrument is not supporting digital assets yet. Also, clients weren't ready yet. It's also pretty difficult to disintermediate a central security depository like Euroclear or Clearstream. And so we basically found out, okay, back in 2018, it was a bit too difficult to actually do atomic settlement on blockchain for financial instruments that already exist today. And so we did a lot of pivots, and where we ended up now is that we built a hybrid solution where we basically use blockchain to distribute data so that we actually can increase settlement times for this particular financial instrument. It's not real time because there are lots of players involved. However, by distributing data faster, everybody has the right information about this specific financial instrument, and so settlement can happen faster. So basically what we achieve today, if a issuer wants to issue commercial paper, after the trade date, it takes 2 days before they actually receive their cash. And we decrease the time to approximately 30 minutes.
So from 2 days to 30 minutes.
Yes.
So that's still a very big gain, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I remember when we had our discussion in November with digital asset, that was what we discussed all along, right? So this increase in speed, creating more liquidity, creating new business models. Is that also what you're going to be presenting?
Yes. So we have started our journey also around 2018, somewhat there. But first working on a project like the Comgo Vact, which was more on trade commodity finance, but where we used also the blockchain technology for. From there, we moved to more the security side of the value chain. So we were one of the members of Pictor, which was a decentralized vault for security tokens. And from there, we also started to work on the issuance of tokens to see what kind of benefits we could find there at the start. First, what we did was a kind of a digital twin. So just do the existing process and then we replicate that. We see that now more and more with all kind of hybrid tokens coming to the market, like maybe you've seen UBS doing dual listing. So they did a native one and a digital twin one. So this means that investors can go for the normal route, so the central security depository, or they go via a digital one. And they try, of course, to increase the digital one, but they see nowadays that the existing one is, of course, the most favorable for a lot of the investors. And from this digital twin, we started to work with clients also to issue security tokens in the Dutch legal framework. But we see also a lot of traction in Germany around this topic because they have the regulation there in place since May 2022. And we hope maybe with the DLT pilot regime that things coming to more speed and adoption in the market because it's still early days.
So that's a good bridge because you said Germany,
Yeah.
and they've had this new cryptogesetz. Maybe you can explain a little bit, why it's interesting for a bank like ABN AMRO or Rabobank for that matter, because I understand that in your pilot, Claudia, there is an Austrian bank and another European bank involved. But how is the cryptogesetz in Germany compared to the Dutch legal framework that we have here?
Yeah, so we don't look at the crypto side at this moment. So there's also security legislation in place that is of interest for us as a bank, where they made a digital asset also illegal. The transfer of a digital asset is also you can do that also in a legal manner. So in the Netherlands, it's still that you have to do it dual. So you have to do the physical delivery and you can do the digital one. Where in Germany already the digital one prefers if you comply with all kind of rules. So also that's maybe not ideal yet to have instant settlement, direct transfer, etc. But at least there is a guidance for investors and for issuers and for banks where you can work around.
So, Claudia, do you think that in a way Germany is ahead of the Netherlands when it comes to this type of legislation, or?
I think that in Germany it's also possible to actually have a fully dematerialized security, whereas in the commercial paper space where we operate in, it's still necessary if you want to have your commercial paper as collateral in the ECB. It needs to actually be printed and put in a vault at Euroclear. And so I believe in Germany this is actually different. So yeah, in that sense they are ahead, yeah.
That's amazing. Germany is not known to be ahead of, the innovation cycle when it comes to these types of new technologies.
Yeah.
But in this case, they are.
Yeah, and I think I've seen it already a couple of years ago where they really started with banks offering crypto custody, for example. So I think they're in this space quite innovative and indeed ahead.
So do you see your customers asking for this? Is this something that customers say, well, this is interesting, Rabobank, please come with this product? Or are you ahead of the curve for the customers as well? What does it look like? Because we're solving problems here, efficiency, which is great, and speed and liquidity, that's great for the banks, but is it also good for the customers? What problem do you solve for the customer?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have basically have two customer categories. We have on the one side the issuers or the borrowers, let's say the Dutch State Treasury Agency or the Ministry of Finance of the Netherlands that was part of the pilot. And then on the other side, the asset manager, let's say Northern Trust, that was part of our pilot. So the Dutch states want to raise money out of the markets, and Northern Trust will actually provide that money and buy the commercial paper. So today we speak about these 2 days of settlement that is necessary. So the Ministry of Finance need to wait 2 days before they actually receive that money, and Northern Trust, well, basically buys that commercial paper, let's say today, but only receives it on which day is it today? Wednesday, Friday. And so, but rates can change in this, especially in these days. So it's quite costly to do that. But also by enabling this 30-minute settlement, we also generate efficiencies on the back office. So we try to do this in a scalable way, in an automated way. And so we do that by propagating this data quicker. So what we're really solving is first on the front office side that both parties receive either the cash or the security earlier. So for the asset manager, that means that they can manage their cash flows better because, well, they don't have to wait for 2 days. On the issuing side, they receive their money in 30 minutes instead of 2 days, so they can also plan better ahead. And so we generate these efficiencies on the back office as well.
So that's a huge advantage. So
yeah.
Are you marketing this this new product to your customer base?
Yes, we
Yes?
are. Yes,
And
yes.
how is it received?
It's very well received because we focus on both teams, let's say, within our customers. So we speak to front office, we speak to back office with both these efficiencies. What the front office people tell us is that I think the market has been waiting for T+0 settlement already for years, and it's very hard to achieve because there's so many parties involved. A borrower works together with an issuing and paying agent that communicates with Euroclear, and an investor uses a custodian to communicate with Euroclear. So to do one transaction, you have already a lot of parties involved. And then also regulators are part of this whole ecosystem as well, of course. So it really takes a lot of parties to be at the table to make sure that you can basically change the way of working for a whole industry, and that also takes a lot of time. So I recognize early days. It is possible, it goes step by step.
So you really had a customer ask, to create this token, right?
Yeah.
APOC.
Yeah, exactly. Back in 2020 already. This is an part-out company for air parts. So what they do is they buy airplanes, and they take out the landing gear or the engine or other stuff that can be reused. Of course, due to COVID, etc., they had some other things on the table than to push for this tokenized bond that we have done with them now. They are a company which are quite tech savvy, doing a lot with AI, and they have seen that there is a limitation on raising funds with crowdfunding, but there's also a gap on the capital markets to be filled. So in that market in between, you also see that there's coming into place the Capital Markets Union, where also the regulators would like to see that in Europe we will get kind of the same financial market as in the US, where a lot of banks are less financing and other parties take over, like pension funds or maybe wealthy investors. In Europe, you could say generally 80% is coming from the banks, where it is 20% in the US. But if you would like to achieve that, we need to have an instrument to do so as well. And we think that with an example of APOC, we could see that we could lower the costs, we could standardize more, and we could start creating also a digital finance stream for those mid-corp companies that will fit also in the Capital Markets Union. So for us, what we see is that on one hand, the digitalization, so digital bonds, they become more and more to the market. So we have seen EIB bond for the third time now last week with HSBC. So it's a 50 million pound sterling one. There has been one done with SocGen and one with Ubermorgen. We have as ABN AMRO done a secondary trade on the EIB one with SocGen to see also for our operation process what's there, what's missing, and what do we need to develop. And from there, we were also able to make the step to our clients. Say, we know now the process on the back office, and we would like to test also the front. So we teamed up with a company called Bitbond for the issuance, and with Fireblocks to do the custody. We did a successful deal there. Also took with us AFM DNB to show what we are doing. They are supportive to initiatives like this because we have a framework in place that also covers digital issuances. So you could do this in the Netherlands, although you have to find the guidelines yourself. So it will cost more time, and then it's also difficult to scale. I think to make this interesting also for the banks and to make it an interesting proposition for our clients, we need to scale, because a one-off is very expensive if you need to pay all the fees to lawyers, tech companies, etc., especially if it are smaller deals. So usually the sweet spot for debt capital markets, which is our initiative sponsor, the tickets are way above the deal size we did with APOC. But it was really to test, to build, and to show that we are capable of doing this. And we are now replicating this in Germany with an institutional client, and also in the Netherlands we have mandates to do so. And we're also talking with investors who see that EIB is doing bonds, others are doing as well. So yeah, they try to engage, but it is hard to find the right people within big organizations that have the mandate and the knowledge about this.
So two banks, two big banks in the Netherlands. You both are on the forefront of bringing in new technology for new services and to bring the banks to the next, to the next level, right? Because we all agree that banks will have a new role to play. There are studies that say that by 2030, 10% of all global assets will be tokenized in some way or another. Digital assets are, I think, going to be a nice income stream for the banks, and tokenization as such and the technology underneath is going to be instrumental to do this. But for the banks, it's going to be important that there is a level playing field in Europe, I would imagine, right? How is that level playing field now in Europe? We have MiCA coming. I think it's better. MiCA, there's a lot of concerns about MiCA, but I think regulation is better than no regulation, right? What is your view on that? Claudia, you first. What is your view on in terms of the level playing field in Europe, and how MiCA can help banks such as Rabobank to start offering tokenized products?
Yeah, definitely. So for the real-time ECP project that I work on, we stay within the field of MiFID because we don't actually tokenize. So the commercial paper is now already regulated, and so it will be in the same way because we don't offer it as a digital asset. I think initiatives such as indeed markets in crypto assets, but also the DLT pilot regime can really help to indeed set up these kind of experiments and to really learn how it could work. You do see indeed like these differences between countries as well, like we just talked about with Germany, and I think also in Switzerland, and that's why, for example, UBS was able to do this dual listing, is that also the Swiss law is much more broader, and so we do see these differences between countries, and I think for the Netherlands to stay ahead, it should really have a look at these kind of countries to also see, well, what's possible. And I think it's really good. I hear you also involved AFM and DNB in your initiative, and we did the same. I think it really helps to make sure that you do this together. But maybe we could be a little bit more aggressive there.
She says with a smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Martijn?
Yeah, what you see is that it looks like it's also kind of competition between the central banks. So you see, for example, France active with their central bank digital currency, who are also involved in the EMB transactions to do direct settlement or other things. So if you have a central bank like that acting, it's also easier maybe to deploy some other new products or propositions. I think that it's still early days. So also for tokenized securities, if there is a standard across Europe, it would help Europe in general, because we are now talking with some clients from Germany, some from France, some from UK, from Netherlands, sometimes it's Swiss, and it's difficult to harmonize that. So you see also that some of the bigger projects with all kind of different banks trying to come with a consortium to innovate in the capital markets, they stopped because some were from the US, some were from Singapore, some were from Europe, and there was no way to harmonize all the regulation. So it doesn't make sense to do it in a consortium like that. And if you do it just alone, why are you going to use the blockchain then?
Yeah, but if you look at JP Morgan with the Onyx, I mean, they're talking trillions of dollars. So aren't we missing the boat here in Europe? If you look at what's happening on Wall Street, even in Singapore, right, with their Project Guardian, I'm afraid. Well, maybe we will catch up, and there's no harm done. But things are moving fast, seems like.
Of course, they are open to welcome you to their platform. But there are multiple platforms out there already. So you name Onyx with JP Morgan, but HSBC has Orion. You see SocGen Forge is coming to the market with a product, and you will see multiple others at this moment as well. And then we come back to the interoperability and how can you work with that. And there are also initiatives that are more on the permissionless blockchain. But we have to see how that works out in the future. Yeah,
what Swift announced last October, I think, it basically means you can do atomic swaps on a bank account.
I think the interesting thing what you see is also with the DLT pilot regime we know, and also our first deal with APOC, it cost a lot of time, lost a lot of education before you go through all the hoops internally, externally to do this. So when the DLT pilot regime will come into place in March 2023, this means that they have been talking about this 2018, 2019, somewhere there. That's the same with all the platforms coming to the market right now. So I hope that with the platform, with some regulation, it will speed up a bit. And then you were referring to the 10% of BCG in 2030. Interesting to see is that this report was first out and then they say it was 2027. So we missed 3 years. Maybe it's COVID, but that's not exactly 3 years. So you see that the adoption need to come. And yeah, what I mainly say is that where we are right now is you have the e-commerce, but you don't have the same day delivery that we are used to today. And still the shops are open as well in the city. So that's a bit where we are, where you have also that dual approach. So for us as a bank, it's interesting to guide our clients, to help. And we make frequently the analogy that as ABN AMRO, we have been one of the first also with the green bonds, and we would like to do that now also with the tokenized bonds. So that's where we are trying to guide some of our clients. Some of our clients are faster than we, and we have the other way around. So it's a very interesting conversations.
Mm-hmm.
What I also think is happening right now is that we've seen lots of these kind of experiments, pilots, proof of concepts. I think maybe starting in 2018, we both started on a project in 2018 as well, going fully on blockchain, generating 100% of all efficiencies possible. But then if you try to scale that in the market and you want to change an existing market infrastructure that's been in place for years, it's also very difficult. And so I think also what SDX with the dual listing is doing, what lots of banks are doing, is really making sure that you go well through this transition period until the legal framework is up and running, maybe the DLT pilot regime is fully crystallized. So I think we will see more and more projects that are somewhere in between in such a hybrid solution, or more in a transition phase where you can do both digital assets indeed, but also still traditional assets, or leverage the technology to operate with current infrastructure, because then you can actually realize those benefits, maybe partly, but at least realize benefits today, and still making sure you'll be prepared for the future.
Well, what's interesting is that the three of us, we've been in this industry for what? You and I, at least since 2016, right? And now we're, 5, 6, 7 years? Well, you have gray hair now, but...
Thanks.
Thanks, yeah. But things just takes time, right? I mean, this is not a quick fix. So I think this is a generational thing, right? Because we need people, we have a knowledge gap, I think, right? So for that reason, with the universities and the community, we are starting a token economy masterclass, so that you will have 6 afternoons to train the professionals exactly on this, because there's a lot of unknowns, and so people are screaming for education. But at the same time, to apply this in industry for an airplane parts company, that's one. We could tokenize, we could fractional ownership of real estate, or energy. All these industries are going to require the know-how that should be with the banks and with the legal regulatory bodies behind it. And I think it's important for for the Netherlands, but for Europe, that we get that knowledge level up, and that we start implementing these projects. And you are at the forefront with the projects that you are going to be presenting here today. So with that said, I would like to thank you for this presentation. I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of your projects later this year. I leave the last word for Claudia.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
No,
but
I know,
you.
because that's
All right. Well, I think what you're doing is exactly the right thing. So I think us having talks about this, and also as banks actually collaborating. I mean, it's not the first time we see each other. Also, ING is very active in this space as well, so we should definitely not forget them. And I think, the only way to make it very useful is for everybody to team up. So thanks for organizing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
That was it for today's podcast. Thank you for listening in, and please subscribe so you don't miss out on our upcoming episodes. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find our contact details at www.twotokens.org.